start with a lot of upset parents this morning. Controversy brewing at an Albuquerque middle school.
These parents are saying that their kids are being unfairly punished over the behaviors of a few bad apples. Tony Hillerman Middle School canceled an end-of-the-year field trip for the entire 8th grade class next week due to what the school's calling bad behavior. Parents speculate it's actually because a student that set fire to a school bathroom on Monday, but the school says that's not the reason. The principal says there was a big enough group that was unruly this year. Parents and students say the punishment is not fair to all of those kids.
I think it's unfair to the kids that actually did good this year.
I think it's a blanket discipline is very negative and it's unfair.
A school's principal says field trips are a privilege and this one was not earned.
And some parents of another APS school are upset this morning, saying Lowell Elementary School officials never mentioned a student brought a realistic-looking pellet gun to the playground last Thursday.
There was a kid with a gun, and the kid stated to him that, you know what, I'm going to shoot your friend.
So that's Eric Price. He and his wife, they say their son was able to get that student to the library where he told the principal. A spokeswoman for APS says they did find a BB gun in the student's backpack, but it is up to the principal to decide if parents are notified. $1 billion. That's how much damage hail does to property and crops every single year. What's more, New Mexico sees some of the most in the country.
And we rank at the top 10, in fact, when it comes to states that receive the most hail. We wanted to know more, so we checked in with the experts to find out when and where we can expect the most hail. News 13's Catherine Mazzone has those facts. Catherine?
Good morning, Adam. Now, New Mexico sits in what's referred to as the hail belt. It's a portion of the country that sees the most hail and sometimes the biggest hail. Experts say for New Mexicans, this time of year can be difficult.
In wide open spaces like New Mexico, you're really left with very few options.
Insurance professionals say data varies year to year, but there's a section of New Mexico where you can always have a reasonable expectation for hail. It's the southeast corner near Texas, like this hailstorm in Dora or in Santa Rosa. But the rest of the state sees its fair share too, especially right around now. May and June are the two biggest months for hail. Experts say that means you may want to plan your trips around these months.
Pay attention to weather forecasts, pay attention to severe weather warnings. Know that in certain times of year, you can expect that these storms will come up and they'll come up fast.
Now, experts say we have more technology and early warning systems than ever before. They say if you're not planning around the high hail months, at least pay attention to alerts and act accordingly. Back to you.
Interesting, Catherine. Thank you. So what happens if you're caught in a hailstorm? How do you protect yourself and your property? We're going to have those details for you coming up in our next half hour.
And we're following the latest on an effort to stop reported drag racing and speeding on a busy stretch of Gibson. Neighbors say it's happening from Delgado to Blake. City Councilor Clarissa Pena says the neighborhood has asked for more police to patrol that area, but she says officers cannot be out there all the time. During a meeting last night, neighbors proposed solutions to the problem. One of the ideas, putting out paved markers to narrow the road to one lane heading east. It could be a couple of months before those changes are in place. Onto this now. Spaceport America is trying to prove it deserves your money. The spaceport announced a 5-year business plan yesterday. The plan calls for more space flights starting in 2017 and outlines goals to bring in more tenants. The anchor tenant, Virgin Galactic, has been putting off flights from the $200 million facility near TRC. You can read the full 14-page proposal on our KRQE News app.
A rare aircraft will be restored now thanks to a campaign by the National Museum of Nuclear Science and History. The museum raised the $44,000 it needs to fix up a rare B-29 Super Fortress. That, by the way, is the same model that dropped atomic bombs on Japan to end World War II. There are only 17 left in the world. One of them is here in Albuquerque. The plan is to have that plane all fixed up by August.
We turn now to this. The search continues for a U.S. military helicopter missing in Nepal. The aircraft carrying 6 Marines and 2 soldiers from Nepal disappeared Tuesday while delivering aid to earthquake victims. They were lost on the same day Nepal suffered its second major quake in less than 3 weeks. Thousands of people in the country are now demanding relief from the government as the death toll from the second quake passes 125.
While you were sleeping, crews used heavy equipment to move the train cars that derailed near Philadelphia. 7 people are dead, dozens more are injured after Tuesday night's crash. NTSB investigators are now looking into several different factors, including the engineer's actions and the condition of the track. At the time, CBS News has learned the engineer's name is Brandon Bastian. An initial review shows the train was going 106 miles per hour, and they say that Bastian apparently pressed the full emergency brake. There is a 50-mile-per-hour limit at the curve where that crash happened.
New body camera video shows the moments before and after a Georgia police officer is dragged while hanging out of a window. You can see he pulls over the suspect, Brandon Adams, at a gas station. Adams refuses to get out of the car or turn it off. Then suddenly the 23-year-old just takes off. Take a look at this. The officer tries to hang on to the moving car, but he's dragged along with it. Eventually, he does fall off, rolling several times. He's doing fine right now, but actually returned to work the next day. Police say they're still looking for Adams at this time, and reportedly he had tried to cash a fake check. That's what police say, and that's why the officer was trying to stop him in the first place.
It's dramatic to see what happens next in that video, but it's good to know the officer's doing all right. All right, 5:31 this morning and happening right now. Crews are expected to be back in the Sandia Mountains in just hours, searching for a missing 24-year-old woman.
We were trying to take a live look out at the area where crews combed through for 9.5 hours. As you can tell, that was not the correct video at the beginning of this. But Brittany Johnson was last seen leaving a spot Broadway and Mountain on Saturday. Her red Toyota spotted on the top of the Sandia Mountains just yesterday.
Her car was left unlocked. She's probably up here somewhere, and her purse is in the car, her yoga mat, her backpack, and her keys were left on the roof of the car, and then it snowed.
So friends and family are hoping for the best as New Mexico State Police and others search for clues this morning. They described Brittany as a free spirit who loved hiking in the area, but some said she was showing signs that something was not right.
I knew something was going on, and she was kind of cutting different people out of her life, and so I was getting a little bit kind of concerned.
Right now, state police say they are concerned about the weather and rugged terrain. The road to the crest will likely be blocked off again during the search today.
We're staying on top of charges against a Santa Fe middle school teacher today, accused of throwing books at her students. Marcy Slaughter is now facing felony child abuse charges for what one student says happened during class.
The first one missed, and the second book, it hit me right in the shoulder, and then the third book hit infinity.
This all happened at DeVargas Middle School in late April. Principal Mark DeCharme is now also charged for not reporting it to police. Right now, Slaughter is on paid leave.
P&M customers, you can breathe a sigh of relief this morning. Turns out a proposed power rate hike won't be happening, at least for now. The Public Regulation Commission unanimously rejected the power company's plan to raise rates yesterday. P&M wanted an increase of about $10 a month. The power company says it needs hundreds of millions of dollars to work on its power plants and lines. The hearing examiner recommended the commission vote it down because P&M did not make a good enough case for a rate hike. P&M can still appeal.
Athletes playing for the Rio Rancho School District could soon be subjected to drug testing. According to the Journal, Athletic Director Bruce Carver brought up that issue at Monday night's board meeting. He says a majority of the district's 28 head coaches were in favor of the policy. Carver says the proposal will be heard by the board on June 8th. Artesia, Hobbs, Carlsbad, and Clovis school districts all do have drug testing policies. Santa Fe and Albuquerque districts do not. News 13 has learned that the federal government has approved a waiver for good teachers in our state. Highly rated teachers will now be able to teach other subjects and grade levels without having to undergo more training, as set forth by the No Child Left Behind Act. Nearly 74% of public school teachers in New Mexico now qualify for this option. Rural school districts say it gives them more flexibility to cover vacancies. 5:35, the hail belt. It's a portion of the country that sees more hail than any other states, and New Mexico sits in it. Hailstorms have already hit us, and experts say we're just getting started.
So with $1 billion worth of damage to crops and property every single year, we wanted to learn ways you can better protect yourself. News 13's Catherine Ozone spoke to the experts to find out. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal. Now, May and June are prime months for hail, and in New Mexico, there may not be a whole lot of places to find cover if you're on the road. Plus, your chances for hail may be better in certain parts of the state.
It's really that south I guess it's southeast corner of New Mexico, down there around Texas and so forth. That's the place that always seems to get a little bit of hail year after year.
Now, knowing when and where to expect hail are the first steps in preparing for it. Some experts even suggest planning trips around high hail months. There are other steps you can take, though, like getting covered parking if you don't have it already. If you find yourself in a big storm, experts suggest you head for cover to ride it out. We have several parking decks in downtown Albuquerque. They also suggest your local mall to find a deck. If you can't find cover, they advise at least cover your car. There are even hail covers for just that, but make sure it's secure. Perhaps the most important piece of advice they offer is to pay attention to severe storm warnings. Now, one more suggestion, know your insurance policy. Oftentimes, weather damage isn't automatically covered. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Catherine. Now, some of the other states in the hail belt include Montana, Texas, and even North Dakota.
5:36 now. A New Mexico state senator says he's looking into ticket brokers after a News 13 Larry Barker investigation. We told you this week out-of-state companies have been snatching up hundreds of tickets to big shows here before the general public and then reselling them to you for highly inflated prices. Right now, it's illegal in New Mexico to sell college sports tickets for more than face value, but pro sports, concert, and theater tickets are fair game. State Senator Jerry Ortiz-Pino says that needs to change.
Eventually, these tickets will be available, if this goes on, only to the wealthiest people or to those who were absolutely first in line the first day it opened up.
Ortiz-Pino says he's still researching specific ways to fix that problem.
We turn now to a live look out at New York City this morning, where NYPD's police commissioner is praising an officer, saying his actions may have saved his partner's life. Officials say a hammer-wielding suspect was shot by that officer yesterday after he swung the weapon at his partner. Now, in this newly released video, you can see two officers approach the man. That's when the man turns around and begins to swing the claw end of the hammer right at the officer, hitting her 4 times. Now, she backtracks and falls to the ground as her partner fires 4 times. The suspect, David Burrell, was hit twice and is now in critical condition. He's described by police as a paranoid schizophrenic.
Investigators in Illinois, meantime, are looking into a video that appears to show an officer pepper spraying 2 teenagers. You can see it happen here. The teens are handcuffed in a small holding area when that officer pulls out what appears to be pepper spray and hits them both in the face with the spray. One of the teens is left twitching and shaking for several minutes on the right. It happened earlier this year, but the police chief says he didn't know about it until last week. Internal Affairs is now investigating.